everyone, I hope you're all well and welcome back to my kitchen. Today I'm going to show you how to make vegan fruit flapjacks. However, if you don't like fruit in your flapjack, you could have it plain, you could add some chocolate chips, and if you're not vegan, you could just add butter instead of coconut oil. Before we start though, I'm sure you're asking, why vegan? Well, this was a request from a student in my form, and also we can't forget that it's Veganuary. It's important to know different types of diet when you cook for people, not only based on their belief, but also for allergies and intolerances. And before we start, I'd like to talk a little bit more about this. A food allergy is where your immune system reacts to a certain type of food. It's very quick and it can cause swelling of the tongue, vomiting, wheezing, itching, rashes, or dizziness. An intolerance is a bit slower. It's where your digestive system struggles to break down particular foods, and it mostly causes symptoms related to your stomach. Allergies can include things like shellfish, nuts, eggs, milk and dairy, and fish, whereas intolerance can include foods like milk and dairy, wheat and gluten, and yeast. With that in mind, do you have anyone in your family who has an allergy or an intolerance? If so, how are you going to adapt this recipe to suit them? Because we know food is great and we all want to share it. Anyway, let's get going.
The ingredients, with lots of options. First, the main ingredients is 200 grams of rolled oats. These are gluten-free. They were produced in a factory away from wheat, which means they are totally okay for gluten-free diets. Then you'll need 130 grams of maple syrup, golden syrup, or honey. I have a combination of maple syrup and golden syrup, which still makes them vegan. I use mainly golden syrup because that's what makes them sticky and nice, and I think flapjacks should be a little bit sticky, but it's up to you. If you want them softer, do a combination. I've then got 80 grams of desiccated coconut. If you don't like coconut, just add an extra 80 grams of oats. 50 grams of ground almonds. If you have a nut allergy, please do not use ground almonds. Just use extra oats, or maybe you could use some rice flour and do a little bit of experimentation, but it's totally up to you. 200 grams of berries or cherries, along with some sugar to make a fruit compote. It's just 1 tablespoon of sugar. And then you'll need 100 grams of coconut oil, and if you're not going vegan, you can just change it to butter. Or if you are going vegan and you don't like coconut oil, you can add vegan spread. Before you get your equipment out, it's a good idea to wash your hands and clean your surface. For this, you're going to need baking parchment or baking paper, a wooden spoon to stir with, a metal spoon to press down your flapjacks, a saucepan, a glass bowl, and also a baking tray or a Pyrex dish to put your flapjack in to bake. Now for the best bit, the cooking. So you're going to need to preheat your oven to 180 degrees fan or 200 degrees without a fan. You need to put your pan onto a medium heat and add 2 tablespoons of water. This will stop your fruit from sticking. You add your fruit and then the sugar, and you just keep stirring. Stir it and stir it and stir it until the fruit breaks down and creates a sort of sauce. This is called fruit compote. You can have this on its own with ice cream, but this is really great in your flapjack and creates another depth to it. Like I say, you don't actually need the fruit compote. You could put melted chocolate inside instead, but this is really tasty, so why not give it a go? You'll see a lot of steam. That's just the water coming out. Once the fruit has really broken down and it kind of looks like runny jam, you need to put it to one side and then you need to let it cool down. But you need to be really careful because this is going to be extra hot. So now we're going to melt the wet ingredients with a bain-marie. Wash your pan up and add about 4 centimetres of water. And then you're going to put your glass bowl on top and make sure that the bottom of the glass bowl doesn't hit the water. You're going to add your syrup and then your fat. So in this case it's coconut oil, for you it might be butter. Then you're going to stir until all the ingredients is combined. This means that there's no lumps of butter or coconut oil in your ingredients. Once it's done, don't take the bowl off straight away, let it cool for a little bit, but make sure you turn the heat off. Once your bowl is cool enough to handle, you're going to mix the wet with the dry ingredients. So add your desiccated coconut, add your ground almonds and your oats or alternatives, and then stir in really well until all the ingredients are coated with that syrup that you just made. You're going to line your baking tray with baking parchment or baking paper. It doesn't really matter about the edges because you can release them. The bottom is the most important. You're going to add 2/3 of your mix to the tray and you're going to push it down really well so it's kind of firm. So now you need to add your compote. So you need to spread it as evenly as you can and try and get to all the edges. You don't have to use all of it. However, the thicker you make it, the nicer it is. You're going to add your last bit of oats and try and cover all of that compote up. If you don't cover it up, those little pieces along the sides will burn. Make sure you press it down firmly again. Place it in the oven for 15 to 20 minutes or until it's golden brown. Remember, you don't need oven gloves to put it in, but you do to take it out. Let your flapjack cool for at least an hour. You don't want to put it out straight away, otherwise it's crumble into pieces. You can use the sides of the baking parchment to lift out your flapjack and then just simply slice it. And you're pretty much done after that. You can make them as big or as small as you want, but look at that, perfect. So now it's time for the questions. Number 1, what's the difference between an allergy and an intolerance? Number 2, did you adapt the recipe? If so, how? Number 3, once you've cooked, what went well, even better if? And number 4, are there any dishes that you would like me to show you how to cook? I hope you enjoyed that video. Stay safe, keep cooking, keep creating. Oh, one last thing, don't forget your photos. Bye!